The next topic, before we get into our Batman spoiler stuff, before I bring in Bill from Batman on Film and we get into all that goodness, comes from Tavo Borrego. Tavo sent in our listener question of the week. Last night, actually, I should preface this. It is about wrestling. And before I give my answer, I kind of want to focus group that. Brett's face is why I'm going to focus group this.
6 hours of WrestleMania.
That killed any interest Brett ever peripherally had about wrestling. Was 6 hours of WrestleMania that our boy Luke was at and wrote a scolding editorial about for Revenge of the Fans back in the day. See, we hated it and we were sitting on Jeremy's couch.
Right.
Luke was in the stands and it took him like 5 hours to get home after the show. He had to sit there for
10
hours of WrestleMania plus the pre-show. So, all right, you can't complain that much. Luke had it way worse.
He did.
By the way, how you doing, Luke? We miss you. Come back to America.
Miss you. Come back.
But what on earth was I going to say? Okay, no, look. So here's why I feel the need to focus group this, because folks, I am a huge, passionate wrestling fan. And that went away for many years, but ever since AEW came back on the scene in 2019, it reignited my love of this stuff. And I've been tempted for a long time to do like a spin-off of this show, like a wrestling fanboy thing, where like maybe a half hour a week just to talk about current wrestling topics. And I want to know if there's any of you out there who would be down for that kind of thing. So look, we've set up an email account. This is where I want you to send questions from now on. And I also want you to email me at thefanboypodcast@gmail.com. Email me there if you are a listener or viewer of this show and you would be down with me launching the Wrestling Fanboy, a quick a weekly wrestling podcast just talking about current wrestling stuff, because Lord knows I have a lot to say about it, but I tend to keep it off this show because I feel like there's only like 10% of you who give a crap, and I know Brett is in the 1% of the people who give
I don't know if I have I actually wouldn't mind watching wrestling again if you point me to the nights and when I should watch and what I should watch.
Right.
But I don't know if I have like full bandwidth to be all the way back in, but like I'll keep up enough that like I could enjoy it with you a little bit.
Listen,
maybe.
I can curate. Yeah,
I can't promise
give you a watch list. I got you. But all right, so now to get to Tavo's question. On AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday, Tony Khan announced that he has purchased Ring of Honor. This was the big announcement that he'd been teasing for about 2 weeks, that he was going to do something that was going to have major ramifications on the professional wrestling industry, that it wasn't just about signing one particular piece of talent, but rather a bit of a paradigm shift. And, well, we know what it is. So he bought Ring of Honor, and my take on that is this really is a huge, huge deal for the company and for Tony Khan, because right now, pretty soon they're going to be having to look at new TV deals, and they're going to start looking into launching streaming things for the show, for AEW, and having the entire Ring of Honor library, 20 years of content sitting there, that gives them a lot of content they can offer networks and get more lucrative TV deals. And that creates a great amount of content that they could have ready to go on a streaming service. So that right there, that's going to help them secure some crazy distribution deals. But then if they can take away one of these YouTube shows and rebrand it, instead of AEW Dark, which is where all the newbies go and wrestle, and they make that Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor kind of becomes the training ground for AEW, I think that would be amazing. Because right now, these guys need a place to work, and sometimes I don't think it should be on primetime television Wednesday nights for the whole world to see. There's some young under-seasoned wrestlers who they could use some seasoning, and sending them to Ring of Honor, I think, would be a perfect place for them. And for this massive roster that Tony has amassed, now having another wrestling company that he could, run and send them to for seasoning. I think this is only good news. And this gets them back the All In show, which is the show that was basically the proof of concept for AEW. ROH owned the footage from the very first AEW show, essentially, and now they get to have that. So I'm very excited. I want to see how they handle bringing back that brand as like a weekly wrestling show. I want to see how they take advantage of that library. I think it's going to be really cool for them creating like retrospective documentary content on a lot of their stars, because a lot of the bigger AEW stars right now began in ROH. And now that they have all this footage, they could do some really cool documentaries, kind of doing these career retrospectives using real archival footage that they now own. So I think this is a huge deal. I hear that he outbid WWE for it, which is kind of cool. I hear Vince McMahon and company are kind of bummed. They wanted to absorb ROH into their WWE network, but Tony Khan thought otherwise. And I'm all in favor of an alternative to WWE, the evil empire, the monopoly. So go, Tony, go. AEW for life. And that is my wrestling chatter for the week. See, and it didn't last 6 hours, Brett. But folks, again, email the fanboy podcast at gmail.com if you would be down for me talking wrestling on a separate show from time to, if I were to do that. Okay.